Hello, this is another tutorial. I'm going to talk about, I'm going to make an introduction on emitters. I'm going to apply a gravity field to the particles that emerge from an emitter. We'll see that in detail. And, and then the last step will be how to make an instance of an object, in this case, this little guy here, and make it appear instead of a particle. Okay, so we can have this animated as if it was a particle. Okay, so we have this guy. It's a little piece I've made. You probably know it already. It's the same machine I use for other tutorials. And basically I'm going to just take it apart, just move it around, and probably it's good to make sure that it's, that the history is deleted by type here, so it doesn't have any history that could make this guy more heavy, or just with information that we don't want to carry on within our particle systems. Okay, so just let's forget about this guy for now, and let's concentrate in what an emitter is. So we have to be in dynamics, and to create an emitter, we just go to particles and say create emitter. Okay, the moment you do that, this little guy, I'm going to press F to see how it is. It's a little thing here, and we could have many properties associated with an emitter or attached to emitter, but let's just change here the time to a big number like 500 and press enter. Let's press enter and see what happens without doing anything to the emitter. Okay, so there you go. It creates particles. We can select the particles. They turn, well, in this case they select the box, but they normally turn like green, each of them, and we can by pressing each of the particles in general, we could get to some information regarding the particles. For example, particle shape, which will relate to the shape, to the form of those particles. For example, if you go down under particle shape to render attributes, we will be able to change the render type from points to any of these other guys. For example, spheres. The moment you do that, and we can press here render type to check the information there that is in relationship to the object here, and we can change, as you can see, the radius in this case. We can also say I want numeric, and you will have numbers. Quite interesting. You could have what's called the cloud. If you render this, it will be like a gas type of particle, which could be nice for gas movement. You can say straight. Straight is, yeah, it's difficult to see how it is. There you go. If I make it bigger, change that. It's pretty much like a little modular parallel pipes that have a type of tail that you can size, as you can see there. By the way, each of them have their own. You can play them and see how they move around. So this is the strike that you can change the parameters. So it's so nice for, we will see probably later, to make water very simple way. The one we're going to use now is, it's just points. By the way, you can obviously render these guys by giving an hypershade, or just a specific material to each of them, and they will render as you want, given a very highly complex type of composition in a very simple way. We will see later on that we can say to these particles to behave in different ways. For example, go to be attracted to something, or collide with something, etc., etc. Okay, so for now what we're going to do is just again make it points, and we're going to apply a field of gravity. So if we select the particles, we go to fields and say gravity, we won't see the change immediately. We have to start the animation again, and you will see how they come applying gravity to them as if they were coming down. If they come up or down or right or left, that just means that the axis of the direction of the gravity is different, so you can go to gravity field, selecting the particles, and make sure the direction is -1 if you want the gravity to go down in the y direction. You can change the magnitude, the attenuation, etc, etc. Good. I'm going to move the... I started the animation again, and I'm going to move the emitter up here and make sure... Oh, actually I move, I think, the gravity. Just make sure that I move the emitter. Let's play it. I'm going to make these particles collide with an object. Okay, so I'm going to start again the animation and press, for example, a sphere. I'm going to make it bigger. I'm going to go to faces, and I'm going to probably delete the faces in the top. Make sure that I delete them so they look like a glass in a way. And let me turn off the grid as well so we see this nicely. Here we go. We have something that could be a container. Go to object mode, but obviously if we press this, the particles are going to go through this object. So we need to tell this new object to somehow react and collide with these guys, or the opposite actually. The particles should collide with this object. No? So how do we do that? We select the particles, shift, select the object, and we go to particles again and say make collide. Okay, if something's wrong, probably you have done it in the opposite direction, but it should be fine the moment you do that. And let's get in detail so we see it. They should collide one with the other. There you go. It's difficult to see, but you can very well tell in your computer probably. Now the way they're bouncing and the way they're friction with this object is by default bouncing with a resilience of 100. What that means is that they're going to bounce as they're going to use this object as if it was very bouncy material. So you can always select the receptive object or model and go to the geoconnector. Geoconnector has several properties that relate to how the particles will touch these guys. For example, the resilience. This is what I say, this 100% means that it's very bouncy material. So if you take this down, and also the friction will be how they kind of get sticky in a way to the material. So we could take that a little higher and play it again from the beginning. And let's see how it looks. Let me make a very simple change here. Select the particles and make in the shape. Make the sphere so we can see this a little better. Spheres. Okay, so there you go. You can change these factors of bouncing. Let me just make a couple examples. Press. Let's go to this object and select different characteristics of geoconnector. Let's say less resilience and more resilience and less friction, and it should bounce a little bit more. There you go. There you go. Versus the opposite, as you saw before, it has more friction and less resilience. So try with different objects. This probably is a good way of containing, but if you do the opposite, you will see. Let me see if I rotate it 80 degrees, and we do the same. They're bouncing, you see, versus making a bigger friction, smaller resilience. They're probably gonna like get sticky there. You see. And let's even increase it a little bit more so we see it. Bigger friction, smaller resilience. See, they get like stuck there and it's like lava type of attitude. Anyway, that's a very simple way. So I'm gonna stop this here, and we're gonna do the instance in the second part of this tutorial. Okay.